Resentment, rebellions, politics, history, and a fast-changing world all lay the foundations for understanding the conflict unfolding in Taiwan today. 260 years ago, China was the largest country in the world. It was ruled by the imperial Qing Dynasty and included modern-day Taiwan. But by the early 20th century, China was weakened. Numerous defeats at the hands of foreign powers had left the country demoralized. People revolted, local power centers sprung up, and rebellions against the imperial government started to get more organized and militarized. In 1895, China was defeated in the First Sino-Japanese War. Losing to an Asian power was a humiliating blow, and to make things worse, China was forced to concede modern-day Taiwan to Japan. This led to widespread anger amongst the people. The rebellions that followed forced the emperor to abdicate, bringing an end to imperial rule in China. This was the start of a new era. The Republic of China, or the ROC, was proclaimed in 1912 under Sun Yat-sen, the first leader of the Kuomintang Nationalist Party of China. But the country was fragmented, with local power centers vying for influence. Sun's successor, Chiang Kai-shek, took steps to unify the country, and the Kuomintang was the internationally recognized government of the Republic of China. However, he faced stiff opposition from the Chinese communists, who, backed by the Soviets, were fast emerging as a powerful force, a formidable opposition to the ruling Kuomintang. War with Japan had weakened Qing militarily, and inflation was skyrocketing. During this time, the communists had expanded their ranks and military capabilities. After Japan's surrender to the Allied forces in 1945, Taiwan was handed back to China. Soon, civil war ensued. On one side was the Kuomintang-led government of the ROC, and on the other were the forces of the Chinese Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong. The communists had managed to gain control of most of mainland China, and the Kuomintang was forced to retreat to Taiwan, where Chiang waited to resume his fight with Mao at a later time and regain control of the mainland. A political and military stalemate was reached in 1958. From the victory of the Chinese Communist Party in 1949 until the 1990s, the PRC and the ROC each considered themselves the true China and insisted that the United States and other countries choose either one to maintain diplomatic relations with. The United States. There was no question of supporting the communist PRC during the 50s and 60s due to the Cold War with the Soviets. But with increasing differences between China and the Soviets in the coming years, and the Sino-Soviet split, the President of the United States, Richard Nixon, saw the strategic importance of Beijing in countering Moscow. A secret trip to Beijing by Henry Kissinger in 1971, followed by Richard Nixon's visit the following year, paved the way for the PRC joining the United Nations in 1971. Other countries followed suit, and Taiwan was more and more diplomatically sidelined in the years to come. The US maintains official relations with the PRC and unofficial relations with Taiwan through the Taiwan Relations Act, which was signed in 1979. As per this act, the United States must help Taiwan defend itself in case of foreign attack. Also, with the present deteriorating relations between the US and China, Taiwan plays a strategic role in the US First Island chain, which will be covered in future videos. The PRC. The PRC believes in the One China principle, but they are the rightful successors to the ROC and are the real China. They believe Taiwan is an integral part of China and there is no question of two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan. China's plans for Taiwan are in line with one country, two systems, which provides a certain level of autonomy to Taiwan. But the two systems are subordinate to and derived from one country, China, or in this case, the PRC. Taiwan. Taiwan is a democracy and has been governed separately for decades. Two main parties dominate the political landscape, the KMT and the DPP. The KMT. The KMT believes there is one China, and both sides belong to one China, and that their government, the ROC, represents the one and only China, a stance maintained since the time of Chiang Kai-shek. Both sides, the PRC and the Kuomintang or the KMT, agree that there is only one China and that both sides belong to China, while leaving the exact political meaning of China unspecified. In practice, this allows mainland China and Taiwan to each claim that their government, that the People's Republic of China or the PRC and the Republic of China or the ROC respectively represents the one and only China. For a long time, this ambiguity has helped both sides engage in formal contact. It created a sort of status quo within which economic and trade relations grew. Here's a fun fact. In 1986, a Chinese airline flight was hijacked by an ROC pilot. He subdued 2 crew members, changed course, and landed the Boeing 747 in Guangzhou, where he defected to the People's Republic of China. Since the incident, there had been no formal communication between the two sides. The ROC was forced to change its stance and initiate dialogue with the PRC to recover the plane. But with the recent protests in Hong Kong and China's increasingly aggressive stance in implementing the one country, two system framework, questions arise whether such a relationship with China may prove more harmful than good. Enter Tsai and the DPP. The DPP want to resist China and defend Taiwan as the main campaign theme. They refuse the one country, two systems, which Tsai has criticized as being part of Beijing's unification goal that could endanger Taiwan's sovereignty. With US Speaker Nancy Pelosi's recent visit to Taiwan, tensions have been high in the region. China has made it clear that it will leave no room for separatist activities in any form and will not tolerate external interference. The situation is very delicate. On one hand, if China tries to use force to attain its goals in Taiwan, the US would be required to come to Taiwan's defense, and this could escalate into a major conflict. Taiwan's business and economic ties with mainland China and Hong Kong have grown so large that the region is by far the island's largest trading partner. The situation is delicately poised, and any wrong move could trigger a catastrophe that the world is not ready for.